Okay, this is Mikko 2020, AMH 2020, Unit 31. A quick word on the drums in the Sound Alike. This is the kit. Now, the kit was made up of it's a bespoke kit. I auditioned samples for it and I did that. The kick itself is fairly complicated. It's got the Pro Q doing what the Pro Q does with the matchup of the other kick, and it's got also its own little EQ going on there. Also, it's got a bittersweet to shape the transient a little bit, and it's not all about dynamics or whatever. It's all about getting this the same way. These two Pro Q3s are on the rest of the kit, along with this is just the chain for the kick drum. So that is mixed. It's a Franken kick. There's a cross stick through a very slight but long delay, and that's kind of a sort of like a shimmer delay for the kick. The clap then is I've reduced its grain size here to get it to sort of fit in a bit better. It was a bit too sort of saturated, and it tended to be either too loud or too soft. Whereas when we grained it out a little bit, it seemed to stretch in nicely. This is another kick sample, which is part of the altered kick again. It's just another component of the kick drum. There's snares, and there's two types of snare. There's one for the rotary, and there's another snare. Open hats, closed hats, and we don't use any cymbals at all in this. And there's one tom, I think it's this one here, or maybe it's this one. There we go. That's actually part of the song. It's a feature. So that is the drum kit for Mondays, and if I just play from there and mute it. Sounds fairly straightforward. In fact, it doesn't sound good at all. If I'm honest, I'm not desperately happy with this Sound Alike. But that's the drums, and that's the drums and percussion. And as I say, with the very mechanical and methodical MIDI. Just another little word on MIDI. We have here the groove from the original sample, taken and applied to everything, pretty much. I think everything. Yeah, pretty much everything in the whole thing, except for maybe just this. This is not applied to. There's only one chord that plays constantly through that. Just holds a chord. So yeah, that's the drums, and a little word on MIDI quantization there. As I said, there is no such thing as too much quantization when it comes to techno, and that's what this particularly represents. There's one little other quirky little thing, is that these two basses are sort of offset by minus 16 milliseconds to one another. So this should play before the beat, but actually it plays nearly 20 milliseconds before the beat, and the other string plays 14 milliseconds before the beat. I think it takes it around about 5 or 6 milliseconds, or maybe 10 milliseconds to develop. So we may be very much tighter than it looks there, but those offsets kind of give the bass a sort of a driving effect on the song. There's a slight urgency to them, you know. So that's a word on the drums and a little bit on the MIDI of the song. Thanks a lot.